Hello and welcome to what might be the most important 20 minutes of your day. Today I'm going to be teaching you something that you're probably going to use every single day of your time in Sendai. That is, I'm going to be guiding you through how to sort out your recyclables and your waste and how to properly put them out for collection in Sendai City. Now, it may come as a surprise to you, but every city in Japan is different. And what that means is that every municipal and every city has its own rules for how to properly dispose of your waste. So Sendai City's rules are going to differ from Tokyo's or from any other area in Japan. So even if you do have experience living in Japan, living in another part of Japan, and even if you think you already know all there is to know about Japan's waste disposal rules, just bear with me because what I'm going to be teaching you today is specific to Sendai City, and it's probably going to be a bit different from what you already know. Now, when it comes to rules for waste disposal, in Sendai City, we have four main categories. That is household waste, plastic container and packaging that I'm just going to call plastic waste, your recyclables such as your cans and your glass bottles, as well as paper material. And for each category, the way you have to treat that form of waste is a bit different. Do you wrap it? Do you not wrap it? Do you rinse it out? Do you not rinse it out? Do you squash it or not? So it can be a bit tricky to remember everything, but you can just keep coming back to this video as and when you need a refresher. You are to dispose of your waste at the designated collection points. So if you're living in the student dormitories, these are very clearly marked out for you. And if you're living in your own apartment, your real estate agent or your landlord should have informed you of where your designated waste collection point is. And you are supposed to put out your waste by 8:30 a.m. of the day that particular type of waste is being collected. So for example, if Tuesdays happen to be the household waste collection day, you are to put out your household waste on Tuesday itself by 8:30 a.m. Please don't put it the day before or 2 days before or put it the day after, because that just causes trouble for the people living in your area as well. Now in Sendai City, these are the trash bags that we have to purchase in order to throw out our waste material in. So there are two types. One is for household waste, that's the green bag, and one is for your plastic waste, that's your red bag. Now you are not allowed to use any other type of trash bag. Places like Daiso will sell other sorts of trash bags, but you are not allowed to throw out your waste in those trash bags because it will not be collected. For these designated trash bags, you can buy them at convenience stores, you can buy them at supermarkets, and even at drugstores. They're really easy to come by. And there are different sizes for each of the bags. So just buy a size that is appropriate for how much waste you are throwing out. For example, in my case, me and my roommate, we do a decent amount of cooking. And so between the two of us, we would use one medium-sized green bag every week. Hopefully that helps you. Now, household waste. What constitutes household waste? Household waste is not recyclable, and you are to throw out household waste in the green bags. And household waste is collected twice a week, although the day that it is collected differs based on your ward. So things like your scraps of food, your broken bowls or plates, oil that you have not finished using, things like that would all come under household waste. It's quite common sense. Plastic waste. Now, plastic waste is all recyclable, and everything that has this pura mark, this plastic mark, will come under plastic waste. In order to throw plastic waste away, you need to purchase the red bags, and plastic waste is collected once a week. So I've given some examples here, images here of what might constitute plastic waste, but what I want to talk about is especially about this plastic bottle with its cap and its label removed. Now, you can see that the cap and the label both have the put out mark. And so these would come under plastic waste. But for the bottle itself, the bottle comes under recyclables, so not plastic waste. It's a bit tricky, but I'll explain a bit more. So now we get to recyclables. So everything under the recyclables category is recyclable. And it would also include things like metal items, so like pots and pans that are mainly made of metal. You can recycle them as well. And your PET bottles would come under recyclables as well. So what I was talking about with the plastic waste, the bottle itself comes under recyclable, but the cap and the label of the bottle would be under plastic waste. Now recyclables will be collected in these yellow boxes that will be put out the day before the collection day for recyclables, and it's collected once a week. And the last category is paper materials. Now all paper materials are recyclable, and this would include things like your newspapers, cardboard boxes, magazines, etc. In Japan, when you buy milk or when you buy certain drinks, they come in these paper packs. And if your paper pack has that symbol that is above the word paper packs on it, then that can be recycled under paper materials as well. In order to recycle your paper materials, you have to sort them out by their type, tie them up with string before putting them out for collection. Paper materials are collected twice a month, although in some areas they might only be collected once a month. And so now, I've just spoken a lot, but let's actually try and put it into practice by doing this quiz. And let's see how much you have absorbed from what I've said so far. So what I'll be doing is I'm going to show you some images of some items, and you have to decide which category these items belong to and what else you might have to do for this type of waste. So let's start. The first two items, eggshells and banana skins. What category do they belong to? Household waste, if that wasn't obvious enough. And is there anything that you have to keep in mind when throwing these sort of items out? You are to remove as much water as possible before you place it into the waste bag. Next, oil. So this is a bit tricky. I've separated it into two parts. So let's talk about the oil itself. So oil would come under household waste, but you are not to pour the oil directly into the green bag. What you have to do is you have to absorb the oil first, and you can even buy coagulants to solidify the oil before you throw it out. And please, by all means, do not pour the oil down the sink. And the next one would be the bottle holding the oil. What category would this come under? This would possibly come under plastic waste or come under recyclables. So, in order to check which one it does come under, please check to see if the bottle has the pura mark, the plastic mark. If it has the mark, it will come under plastic waste. If it has the 3 arrows recyclable mark, then that would come under recyclables. Before you throw the bottle away, please, of course, clean it out thoroughly first. Now, how about items like CD-ROMs and this broken umbrella? Now, these would come under household waste as well, even though they might look like they're made of plastic, especially the umbrella. Now, the reason for this is because they do not have the plastic mark, the pura mark on them, and therefore they would come under household waste. Now, one thing to keep in mind is that if an item is too large to fit into the green bag, then it cannot be thrown away as household waste. So in the case of this umbrella, It looks pretty long. It looks like it might not be able to fit the green bag. And so what you are to do in this situation is try as hard as you can to either bend the item or squish the item such that it fits the green bag. And then you can throw it out as household waste. How about for things like broken bowls or sharp objects like forks? What category does this come under? It comes under household waste. But because these items are sharp, what you have to do is you're supposed to wrap them in paper and then put them in the green bag. And on the green bag itself, you have to write "kiken," dangerous, before you put it out. Take note that you can also continue to throw other household waste into the same green bag. So you don't just have to use one green bag, especially for sharp objects. How about these items? Egg trays, instant ramen, cup, and plastic bags. Now these would come under your plastic waste because they all have the plastic mark. Now please note that you are supposed to wash all of these items first if they're dirty, like the instant ramen cup for example, before you throw them out as plastic waste. Oh, how about these items? The PET bottle, a drink label, and the Coca-Cola can. Now these would come under your recyclables. And this is how you have to treat it. First is you remove all the caps and labels, and the labels and the caps would come under plastic waste. And then you rinse out your bottles and your cans. For your PET bottles, you are to squash them. But for the cans, you are not to squash them because that might result in some sharp edges, which might make it a bit dangerous to handle. So you can just put it straight in the yellow pickup container for collection. You don't have to first put them into any sort of bag. How about this pot? Which category? And it'll be under the recyclables. So items made mainly of metal, example, your pots, your frying pans, sometimes even metal poles that you have, you can put them with your recyclables. How about batteries? Now batteries also come under recyclables. But what you have to do for batteries is you're supposed to gather them and put them into one clear plastic bag, fasten the bag, and then put it in the yellow pickup container. How about cardboard or magazines and newspapers? Now these all come under paper material. And what you have to do for newspapers and magazines is to sort them out accordingly and then pile them up and tie them with string. And for your cardboard boxes, try and remove all the pieces of tape that you can and then flatten out the cardboard boxes, put them into piles and tie them up with string as well. So here I've put some sort of image to try and illustrate what I mean. So these are how you should be stacking them up and tying them with string. Now what about other things like, your receipts or loose sheets of paper and other random miscellaneous paper stuff? For those items, what you are to do is you're supposed to put them in a paper bag and then tie up the paper bag and then put it out for collection. Milk cartons. Now how should you put this out for collection? There are actually two answers to this. The first, which should apply to most milk cartons, would be that you put it out as paper material. So you would wash it out, open it up, dry it, and then stack and tie them before putting them out for collection. However, if your milk carton happens to have a silver lining on the inside, Sendai City does not collect those kind of milk cartons as paper material. So in that case, you would then just put it out as household waste. Now, how about things like bicycles or a fan, larger objects that might not fit into your household waste bag? How should you throw these out? And this is a bit of a tricky question because I didn't actually talk about this, but this would come under what we call bulky waste or sodai gomi. And for bulky waste, there's a whole procedure of what you have to do to properly throw this out. Let me try and explain it. So first, what you have to do is you have to call the bulky waste hotline or apply online. And when you do this, they will tell you how much it will cost you to dispose of this waste. You would then go and buy these stickers that reflect how much it would cost you, and then you are to stick it on the item. And then on the arranged date, you are to put the item out for collection at the designated pickup point. So this is the number for the bulky waste center. Or you can also apply for it online through this website. Bear in mind that these two ways are only available in Japanese, so if you need any language assistance, you can contact the Sendai Kodyu Center and an interpreter will help you with it. Now this is an example of what the sticker you would buy looks like. So these stickers only come in two denominations. It's either 400 yen or 3,000 yen. So for example, if you were told that you need to pay 800 yen to dispose of an item, then you need to buy two 400 yen stickers. You would have to write your name on them and stick it on the item. These stickers can be purchased from convenience stores, so they're really easy to get hold of. So here I've put a table of how much it would approximately cost to throw out what kind of item. Feel free to pause the video if you want a closer look at this table, but I'm just going to move on. Now, to end this presentation, I've included a couple of real-life examples where I struggled to figure out how I'm supposed to throw these items out. And hopefully, by me talking about my real-life examples, that will give you a better idea as well and what to do. So this is the first example. I've just finished eating a bag of chips and I know that it has this pura mark at the back of it. How should I dispose of it? And the answer is actually household waste. And you might be thinking, why? The reason is because if I want to throw it out without washing the bag, it will contaminate the other clean plastic waste if I throw it out as plastic waste. So what I should do instead is to throw it out as household waste. But of course, the better idea is to wash out the bag and then throw it as plastic waste. The main takeaway here is if you desperately have to throw away something that is not clean, please just throw it away as household waste. Case number 2. So this is an overseas item, and I know that it has that logo at the back of it, which is the international logo for plastics. So how should I dispose of this wrapper, assuming that I have washed it? And the answer is household waste. And you might be thinking, why? And the reason is quite simple. That's because it does not have the plastic mark, the pura mark. And so even though it might be recognized overseas as a plastic item, in Japan, it is not. And therefore, you would throw it out as household waste. And this is the third case, which I also think is the trickiest case. So I have this bottle of oil, and let's just say I finished using the oil, I finished washing and cleaning out the bottle. And I can see on the label that it says the bottle is made of PET, and it also has that pura mark there. So since the bottle is PET, how should I dispose of it? And the answer is plastic waste. Why? That's because the bottle had the plastic mark and not the recyclable mark. So even though the bottle is made of PET, you would throw it away as plastic waste. And the final example is something that you might already have encountered in your time here in Japan. If I buy a canned drink from a vending machine and I obviously don't have the means or the time to wash out my can, how should I dispose of the can? And there are two answers to this question. The first is that, you can bring it home, wash it out, and put it out for collection with the rest of your recyclables. Or the second is that you can just dispose of it at one of those collection bins for cans and PET bottles that you can normally find near the vending machine itself. When you dispose of your cans or your PET bottles into those kind of collection bins, then you do not have to wash them out beforehand. You can just directly put it into the bin. Now to end, I've listed two other helpful resources. The first is this video made by Sendai city itself. It's in English and it gives very concrete examples on how to properly dispose of your waste. It's a really good video and you can check it out. The second is that there are these PDF guides available that give very detailed instructions on how to throw away every imaginable type of waste there is. The link I've put here is for the guide in English. But if you would like it in Chinese, Korean, or Nepalese, these are available at the Sendai Koryu Corner at the International Center, so you can just drop by and pick up a copy if you need it. And that's it for this presentation. Thank you for bearing with me, and I hope you found it helpful.